This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Nikii Duke here, and I'm with Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rove Energy and Player One Coffee, in association with Capital Championship Wrestling. Catch Victory February 4th. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Nikii Duke. How are you, Nikii?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And can you tell us what you got coming up next?
So I'm going to be pretty busy in the next couple of weeks. My big main focus is February 4th against Rebecca Scott. She's a longtime rival of mine, actually, so this should be pretty interesting. She was actually my first match, and now we have a feud going on at CCW, so it should be pretty fun.
And as of this recording, you have a tag team title match tomorrow.
I do, yeah. That is in Ridgefield Park. It would be myself alongside Brittany Blake.
All right. And where can we find you on social media and merchandise if you got it?
So merchandise, I'm working on that because I'm not really sure what I want yet. But I keep it very simple. On all social media platforms, it is Nikii Duke, Duke. 1 K and 2 I's.
All right. And possibly 2 belts.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yes.
Nikii with 2 I's and 2 belts. Sounds good to me.
Yes, we love it already. All right. Let's get into it. Can you tell us about your relationship with CCW and Marchello?
So Marcello's been super awesome. He's honestly really took a risk on me, you know. I was training for a little bit, and I had gone to one of the shows just to check it out and see what everything was about, and I just fell in love with the atmosphere, all the talent there. You know, I look up to these women, but at the same time, I want to wrestle all of them. And it's, you know, it's pretty cool that, you know, he sees something in me and is giving me this platform to work on. So I'm very grateful for that. He has definitely been someone that I go to and confide in the wrestling industry a lot.
All right. We love Marchello on the show as well. I've had him on a couple months ago.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, he's definitely awesome.
Yes. All right. Maybe not so awesome. Can you tell us about your rivalry with Rebecca Scott?
Yeah, so I mean, Rebecca, wow. I've known her for a little bit now. We actually started to train with each other at the same training facility here in New Jersey. We didn't always get along, for sure. You know, she was always kind of like the teacher's pet. It's the best way to describe her, you know. She's always you know, trying to get the attention and everything. So it was always off to a rocky start. And then both of our best friends, Megan Bain, you know, kind of tried to tie us together, and we just never since day one saw eye to eye. So, you know, people, it's funny when they watch our matches, when they get in the ring, they're like, wow, you guys really don't like each other. And we really don't. We really, really don't. Like, the only thing we have in common is, well, I suppose two things: our love for wrestling and our love for Megan Bayne.
I mean, those are two good things to love, but
I'd say so.
but clearly not enough to bring you two together.
No,
No.
I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Well, let's talk about social media, because things got personal really fast between you two. No.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's really funny. I actually found myself, early stages of training, we'd be at practice and she would either do something or say something, and I would just look at her all of the time and I'd be like, wow, like I really, really tried to like you. And now like I really did try. It's one of those things, like I tried really hard and I was just like, man, like I can't bring myself to do it. And social media is huge nowadays, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter for sure. I definitely notice our fan base from CCW is huge on Twitter. But man, she just says and does things that really just irk me. And, now now to the point with her and I, it's not business, it's personal at this point.
Right, because it kind of started with you not wishing everybody except Rebecca a good day. She shot back at you with a picture of her and your father, which led to you entering her residence.
Yeah, so but yeah, no, that definitely was line crossing, like my father's been my biggest supporter since even before wrestling, so she really hit a nerve with that. And, like I said, we do have a mutual friend, which is Megan Bayne. So I have been to Rebecca's house before, invited, with Megan, so I was familiar with where she lived. At the time, she wasn't too smart about where she kept the spare key. We were leaving her house and she had lost her keys because she's not really responsible. So when she had to lock the house, she went underneath. And it's just one of those things that I suppose I always kept in my back pocket because I never knew when I would need that. And you know what? I'm definitely glad that she's dumb enough to put it all out there for me. It was easy. It wasn't really like I broke in. I had the key. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if she did want to press charges or do anything, there's really not much you could do. I used your own key.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, for some apparent reason in pro wrestling is the only profession where you could actually break into somebody's house and not get arrested.
Yeah, something like that, right?
But
And I mean,
continue.
I mean, I wouldn't really consider it breaking in,
Of
if the
course.
tools were all there,
Yes.
So I just want what I want, and she happens to have it right now.
And you did take the title, which she then for absolutely no reason attacked you in your driveway.
Yeah. Again, going back to like, she knows where I live. She's been here before. I'm not really wanted, but Megan she really tried to bring us together, and it was just I was getting home from the gym because um I take my profession really seriously. So I was at the gym. She kind of caught me off guard and beat the shit out of me. It is it is what it is in that sense. I'm not gonna say she didn't, but yeah.
But that brings us to February 4th. Your second match in CCW. It's for the Global Fighting Championship. Once again. And it's a big match feel because it is going to be recorded for some type of movie going forward. So first and foremost, what's going to be different about, other than you winning the championship, what's going to be different about this match than your last encounter? And is there any added pressure because, obviously the bright lights of Hollywood are going to be on you?
Yeah, for sure. But you know, this is the biggest match of my career right now, on the independent scenes for sure. There's a lot of pressure, from outside forces, but mostly from myself, because I really, at the end of the day, I have so much to prove, and it's not even to the fans or anyone, but to myself. Like, I've worked so hard to get to where I am, and now I am given such a huge platform and able to do it that I just want to really, give it my all, leave it all out there. And, like you said, there's going to be films for a movie, and that's also, added pressure. But at the end of the day, Nikki Duke's the main character, and I'm not a bitch ass extra like Rebecca Scott. So I really think, we'll be okay.
Absolutely. All right. You mentioned Megan Bing. She's returning sooner rather than later to CCW and just pro wrestling as in general. Do you see her trying to mend fences, or do you think all bridges are burnt between you and Rebecca?
I mean, right now it's so hard to say, like Megan, when we all trained together, we tried to, see eye to eye and keep it civil. She tried to, mend us together, but right now it's just one of those things where it's like, she just wants what Rebecca wants, what everyone else has, and
Right.
the reality of it right now is she has what I want. So, it's going to be hard to tell. I suppose only time will tell.
All right. Let's get on to another segment. You seem really friendly with Becca and Little Mean Kathleen. You even teamed with Kathleen. Or could we possibly see a new member of the Scrunchy Squad?
I don't know about the Scrunchy Squad. Like, yeah, Becca's really, really cool. Her and I feel like we have a lot in common. She's this pop star, and she's this influencer, and I think it's really cool. We both have a huge love for fashion, so it would be really cool to team with her and see what we come up with. We might already actually have some outfit designs and plan to see what we could do, and that'll be, yeah. And as far as Lil Me and Kathleen, she's phenomenal. Her and I have actually tagged with each other at another promotion, and I definitely would love to work with either of them again.
Well, I mean, in CCW, Becca does have a tag team title opportunity in her back pocket. So could we possibly see Nikki Duke and Becca challenge for the CCW tag titles?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't rule it out. That's definitely awesome that she's keeping that in her back pocket, and definitely would be something fun to whip out in the future and go from there,
Absolutely. Get a dirt belt on Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki 3 belts. Nikki actually does have 3 eyes if you think about it. So keep the trend.
There you go. All right. Now, you have recently wrestled Brandi Lauren, a former WWE and NXT trainee. What was that experience like?
Brent, I'm trying to kayfabe stuff over here, but man, Brandy's dope. Her and I, we had a great match, and we hit it off. Not to break character or anything, but she definitely is super awesome.
Oh, okay. And the match, it was a great match. But it did seem like it was Nikki was in a handicap match. No.
Yeah, no, definitely unfair as far as AJ Pan. Him, I definitely don't like. Brandi, she came around, the beginning of the match. We weren't so sure, and then we realized we had more in common with each other than we didn't. But it was definitely an unfair advantage because, she wasn't sure how I was going to be, so she brought him along, and then he had to get in the way.
Of course. And correct me if I'm wrong. You and Brandy later that night became a part of a cheeseburger burger hunt.
Yeah, something along those lines. I don't know how it happened. So like I said, we kind of after the match, we talked to each other and we realized we knew more people in the industry, and Burger's a good friend of mine, so we we ended up getting some food together and hashing it out there. Yeah, and somehow we became burger hotties, if you will.
Cheeseburger bringing people together.
Yeah, something like that.
Not the food, the person.
Oh, well, also the food. Cheeseburgers are phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. All right. Like I mentioned before, your wrestling had on Monroe and Ray Lynn, with Brittany Blake as your tag team partner. Um, what's your mindset going into that match? Especially, obviously Monroe and Ray Lynn, two of the biggest names on the independents. Especially since you have such a big match coming up with Rebecca.
Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking about it, and it's AJ is also going to be in that match. I don't know if he manages them, so it's like Brandy. Like I said, we ended up hitting it off. She's not there. There's no hard feelings for her, but it's like AJ kind of embarrassed me a little out there. He kind of tried to cost me the match, so. I don't know. I feel like I kind of have more hard feelings towards him than Ray Lynn and um, her partner. I don't know. I'm gonna try to feel them out, and we'll definitely go from there. But I don't know how I feel about them bringing AJ, and it's kind of like they know that I dealt with him last month, so I don't know if they're trying to psych me out and get in my head. But yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there might be a match just between you and AJ.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, my a really, really big match February 4th in Westville, New Jersey with CCW, myself against Rebecca Scott. So I hate to say, maybe I'll step back a little bit, and I've never worked with Brittany Blake before, but we'll see what we can do. But it seems like I might have some outside words with AJ Pan, and it might just be a match between him and I.
We shall see. Either way, it's a main event.
Yeah, you know what? He's not too great to me on social media. His outfits are horribly offensive for someone, like myself. Like, I love fashion; it's in my blood, and then he just shows up with these tacky outfits. It's really offensive.
Alright. Now you wrestled on AEW. What was that experience like, and was you able to take in that moment?
So yes and no. The experience itself was phenomenal. It actually was my first match, so it was my first time ever wrestling in front of a live crowd. Prior to that, I was training about give or take a year, and I was managing someone, so I had been in front of a live audience before, but on a different level. and I would hop in sometimes and do a spot here and there, but it never anything on that capacity. But it was quite amazing. My match was a dark match, and Dustin Rhodes actually agent the match, and it was pretty funny. I was in the back, and my blood pressure was just too high because I was drinking a lot of coffee, and I was so nervous. And he came up to me, and he's like, "Don't be nervous, kid. Like, there's only 20,000 people out there." And I just looked at him, and I think you could physically see my soul leave my body. And he just looked at me. He's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding. Like, have fun, be safe." And then I got to the back, and for my first match, I had good criticism and feedback from them. So it definitely, I feel like I was able to appreciate the moment a little bit after the fact, not so much when I was in the ring and out there, because I was terrified. It was my first match ever, and I was super grateful that it was on AEW. Not a lot of people can say that. My wrestling career started very backwards, so that was only very fitting for me.
And I mean, what a way to start off your career. You wrestled Chris Statlander, who's just a juggernaut in AEW, in Red Velvet.
Yeah, no, it definitely was something.
And you teamed with Tina San Antonio. Was Tina helping you do all this? Was she giving you advice before you got out there?
Yes and no. So Tina and I actually trained with each other, and funny story about that match. I don't know if you've watched it or seen clips, but I had been asked by Sean Dean to be an extra, and at the time, like I said, I was only managing, so I didn't have actual wrestling gear. And Tina and I had trained with each other, and we went back there to see what matches we had, and we were paired together to be a tag team. And I looked at her and I was freaking out. I was like, "Tina, I don't have anything." And she happened to have two of the same outfits. So we really, really looked like a tag team, because I wore everything of hers, from her gear to her stockings to her boots. I had it all on. And, I'm very grateful for that,
That's actually awesome.
Like I literally kind of showed, I did everything you shouldn't do when you go to a wrestling show, none less when you're booked on national television. I showed up with not a thing. I think I had my training shoes with me, and I just looked at her and I said, "Okay, well, we're supposed to be a tag team, so we have to look, the same, right?" I even borrowed her red lipsticks. I don't even know if I may have actually borrowed her socks too. Like, if we're being honest, I had nothing of mine but just me. So it's pretty funny how the universe tends to work out, that they paired us together. We trained with each other, we happened to be pretty much the same size, so it just was such a happy accident. And if you look back at pictures, like, people even ask us backstage, they're like, "Oh, you guys tag all the time together on the independents?" And I was like, "Nope."
This was my first day.
Yeah, no, first match, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Can you tell us about being in No Way Jose's Congo line?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually took my first back bump in a WWE ring. So my story definitely started way backwards, but at the time, this was before the pandemic, I was training at WrestlePro, and Pat Buck had worked for WWE. So he said to me, he was like, "Hey, kid, I know you're not ready, but, this is a great opportunity. Here's some extra work." And, you kind of just hang out and see what they have for you. And they said, "Okay, you're in No Way Jose's Conga line. Throw this tutu on and go have a blast." And you just look at them and you say, "Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity." And you put that tutu on and you get out there.
But what was that experience like? Because obviously, you're only in training at this point. Is this like a window into a world that you want to be in?
Yes and no. I only say that because I don't know if you caught what I said before, but so my introductory to wrestling was I knew someone that had a wrestling tryout. I went to Monday Night Raw with a few friends years ago, and I watched these girls, and I just looked at them, and I was like, I could do this. So I ended up emailing the talent manager at the time. And I said, hey, I don't know anything about wrestling. I did gymnastics since I was 4. I did fitness competitions and some fitness modeling. Like, can I have a tryout? And they emailed me back the next day and they're like, yeah, like, can you come in June? So at this point, when I did No Way Jose Conga Line, I had already been to the Performance Center. I already had a tryout. So I kind of was just, I was just kind of, it was nice when I was there because some of the same doctors or people, they started to remember me like, hey, Nikki, how are you? And it was like, that's a nice feeling, because you want to be remembered in this industry, especially, I do want to be there, more than, like I said before, I don't want to be an extra. I want to be the main character,
Right. All right. Well, I think that brings us to our next segment. Nikii Duke is your adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh man, a road story. So I truthfully don't know if I have too many right now. I had just started taking shows in April, and right now, with Megan being out and stuff, and I don't really have that many people that I travel with. So right now, it's just kind of been me in the car by myself. I'm sure if I think about it, I probably could get something, but nothing crazy yet.
Nothing yet. Okay. Just take a trip up to Canada, and I'm sure you'll come back with a couple of stories.
Well, I suppose it wasn't in the car, but this was kind of a wild story. I did a show in Virginia, I suppose, and I was thinking about my match sitting there, and all of a sudden it was like in like a bar, and all of a sudden like ambulance and everyone shows up, and we're like, oh, okay, like what's going on? And they're like, oh, someone just overdosed and died. And we're like, what? Like inside the bar? And we just like all looked and we're like, is it like, should we pack up and go home? And they're like, nope, the show must go on. That's showbiz. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I was just like so confused because I was outside, and this person wasn't a wrestler. They were just inside the bar. And again, I don't know what happened. I hope this person's okay, but it was just wild. And I think I like drove home after that match. It was very far. It was maybe like 4 hours. And I think I just like drove home in silence because I was like, that was just like the strangest thing ever. Like I drove to the show 4 hours. I tried to, like, I was outside, like, going over my stuff with myself, trying to give myself a pep talk. And then I see all of this, and then they're like, no, get in there and wrestle. And I was like, oh my God.
I could definitely say that was a bizarre adventure, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely was interesting.
All right. Now you were featured in a Shane Strickland music video?
You did your research, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so I was. I've known Shane for a while, and I suppose we were just chatting about something one day, and he just kind of asked me like, "Hey, you wanna be in a music video?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" So it honestly just happened really organically. You know, we were just talking, then just planned a date to get down there, and it was really, really cool because I love music and everything, and it was just interesting to see, you know, the both worlds collide. I feel like music and wrestling are very intertwined and very similar. On a lot of different aspects. You know, you're creating art, you're creating magic through, you know, storytelling, and you know, you're making people feel something. So it was really, really fun.
That's awesome. Now, was that a suit straight jacket or a working straight jacket?
um, so it really worked. I was sitting there, and when they put it on me, I was like on the floor, and this is what they wanted. And then the cameras cut, and I start laughing, and I was like, guys, I need help. I like couldn't get out of it. So no, it was real.
Okay. Alright, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you competed in the 2300 arena?
I no, I had just done a signing, so I didn't actually wrestle there or anything. It was just a signing event.
Okay. But, you know, being a wrestler in the 2300 arena, what is that feeling like? I mean, obviously it's a building with a lot of history.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really, really cool. I won't lie to you, I wasn't a wrestling fan growing up, so it may have not meant as much to me as it does to someone else. Nowadays, I watch anywhere from like 4 to 5 matches a day, so I'm a huge fan now, and I love it. But I didn't really, you know, I don't know that much, and you know, I'm not ashamed to say that because everyone has their own journeys and come into wrestling and everything differently. So I don't want to sit here and lie and say, wow, it was the most amazing feeling when, you know, we have some wrestlers that do get to work there and they've been dreaming of this since they were 3 years old.
No, absolutely, and I respect that. But I do find it interesting, you know, you not being a fan of it growing up and just coming into becoming a fan now. How does that change? How do you feel like that's changed your perspective on pro wrestling? Not growing up with it, but rather than, you know, it's what I'm doing now.
Um, so I suppose I should rephrase that a little bit. I grew up with a brother. He's like 2 years older than me, and I grew up a tomboy. So he watched wrestling, I watched wrestling. He practiced moves on me, I practiced moves on him. So like it wasn't completely not in my life, you know.
Okay.
I just suppose at the time it wasn't like, okay, I need to do this. But now is very different. But I guess it's always kind of been my personality. Like I said, I did gymnastics since I was 4 years old, and I was at practice every single day, you know. But when the Olympics came on and everything, or if gymnastics was on TV, I didn't really sit around and watch it. And it was just, in my opinion, it was just one of those things like, hey, I'd rather be out there doing it. But, you know, in order to do wrestling, you need to study it, you need to see what you like. So I just think for a while, I didn't know what I liked. And now there's so much variety that I just sometimes find myself watching certain matches and stuff. And I just like giggle to myself because I was like, wow, like who would have thought like I like this style or would sit here and watch this?
Okay. Now, you mentioned having a brother. If he wanted to get into pro wrestling, would you be the supportive sister, or would you be Roman Reigns, head of the table, fall in line, Bruce sister?
um, so growing up, my brother is not that the athlete of the family, but so I definitely would kick his ass. But yeah, yeah, I would be like, all right, you want to go? And my brother, he's super competitive, so he definitely would take the challenge. But yeah, you know, the older we get, we do have stuff in common, but we're both very different. I was always the athlete growing up, and he dabbled in stuff, but not so much. But um, I don't really think he would want to wrestle. And I've always been the type where like I would allow it for a little bit, but if he was better than me, I would be pissed. And like I'm not afraid to admit that, you know. So it's like it's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, there could only be one of us.
I love your honesty.
Yeah.
Now you've mentioned that you're a former Junior Olympian gymnast. What was that experience like?
Um, it it was amazing. It was my entire life since, like I said, since I was 4 years old. It was all I knew. It definitely shaped me into the person I've become. You know, it taught me discipline. It humbled me. It taught me dedication. Every single being of myself, I feel like I definitely owe it to that. For sure. It was kind of taken from me at like a young age, so to speak. I believe maybe like eighth, eighth or seventh or eighth grade. I had my first knee surgery. I don't really recall what specifically happened. I just remember I was at a competition and I looked at my coach and I was like, my knee feels kind of wonky, like it doesn't really feel right. And you compete in 4 different events, and he just looked at me. He said, stop being a baby, get out there, you're fine. So I finished the competition, and then I went to practice, and I still didn't feel right. So I ended up going to the doctor, and they're like, no, yeah, you tore this, but you know, so I had gotten back into gymnastics a little bit, and then I entered high school and I just kind of wanted to be a normal kid. So I kind of put it to the side. But it kept coming back to me because then I coached gymnastics for a little bit. And then after I was done coaching, I would hang out a little bit, start getting back into it and just doing it for the sake of doing it. And then, unfortunately, my senior year of high school, I had another knee surgery.
Same knee or the other one?
Yeah, the same knee.
Okay.
So again, that was a while ago. I really don't remember what happened, but yeah. So it definitely shaped and humbled me into the person and athlete I am today.
What was your specialty?
The balance beam. Yeah, I loved it, and it's actually kind of ironic because don't quote me. I know it's 4 inches wide. I don't remember how tall it was, but I am petrified of heights. And I think it's so funny because, some of my moves and stuff in wrestling are either from the top rope or certain things like that. And it's like, even the balance beam, I found that just to be like the most humbling and rewarding because you're doing backflips and front flips on something that you can't even have both feet together at the same time because there's just no room. So it's like you have to really pay attention and focus. So that was definitely my favorite. And yeah, I actually, it's funny. I remember being in Florida at a national competition and I had just done a really hard balance beam routine and I get off and maybe I placed anywhere from like third to fifth place. I don't really recall. And I was so excited and my coach just looked at me and he's like, since when is that first place now? He's like, you just have to get back and train harder. And I was like, oh, okay, you're right. So I feel like I've always had that mentality of wanting to be the best version of me.
What was, maybe your highest scores that you've gotten?
Oh goodness. I get dropped on my head a lot with wrestling and gymnastics. I couldn't remember if you paid me. I I don't remember. And in gymnastics, when I was competing, they would always toy back and forth with the scores where it would either be a 10.0 would be the highest, or then some years they would switch it and 1 would be the highest. So I don't remember.
Fair enough. And, as
Yeah.
somebody that watches the Olympics every year, I can tell you how they score that stuff. It used to be
Yeah,
tens. That used to be the
yeah. And then they changed it, and I don't know. I truthfully couldn't remember.
Well, obviously you were doing it at a high level if you were part of the Junior Olympics, a Junior Olympian. Was the actual Olympics ever considered?
No, it's actually really funny. Like I said, I don't have a great memory, but then when I do remember certain things, I remember specifically being at practice in the middle of the summer once, and we were on uneven bars, and I hated the uneven bars. I think I hated them because I wasn't very good at them. I could do enough to get by, but it wasn't anything that I was proud of or really great of at. And I just remember, I hopped off the bars and I kind of had like a little bit of an attitude with me. And my coach just looked at me. He's like, with that attitude, you'll never go to the Olympics. And I remember I was in like seventh grade and I just looked at him and I was like, I don't want to go. And it was like interesting because it was like at the same time, I'm spending every single probably 5-6 days a week here for, especially in the summer, we would be there literally all day and all night. So I'm spending all of my time there. And it's like, I continued to do it for a handful of years after. I absolutely loved it. But something inside of me knew I didn't want to go to the Olympics, but also something inside of me, I suppose, knew that I was going to do something with it. And, I incorporate a lot of gymnastics into my wrestling. That's who I am. So I love to incorporate it. But no, the Olympics just never, it just, don't get me wrong. Now, if they were presented to me, maybe I would have went, but it just wasn't my calling or my path in life. And I knew that from a young age. And I think that's, something where even in wrestling, similar with gymnastics, you have all of these people that are trying to make it. And the harsh reality is not everyone will make it. There's only a select few that will. Well, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out there and try to make it,
Right. No, I absolutely, I get that and I respect that as well. I can understand where the Olympics is not everybody's cup of tea.
Right, yeah.
Can you tell us your love of Crash Bandicoot?
Again, growing up, the area I lived in, there was not one single girl on the block. So it was my brother and I and all his friends. So I was naturally such a tomboy because whatever he played, I'd be sitting there with Barbies and I was like, well, can you play with me? He's like, no, I'm not playing that. So we would just play video games all of the time. But I wouldn't really say that I like Crash Bandicoot over any other game. It was just something we played as kids growing up.
Okay. And do you play the guitar?
No, so I actually do have a guitar, and I love music. I appreciate it a lot. I actually someone I was dating is a guitar player, and one day I stumbled in an antique shop and I saw this guitar and it was just beautiful, and I was looking at it and I had wanted to learn, and the gentleman of the shop, he was like, I'll give it to you for $30, and I was like, okay, sold. So every now and again I do play around with it, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Not a clue.
I mean, any aspirations to learn?
So it's funny. A friend of mine, he's in a band. I have a lot of music friends, which, like I said, wrestling and music are so similar, and he's one of my really good friends because we both understand the struggle of trying to make it and all of that. So we had met up one day and he was giving me a lesson and I got like a few chords down and I was like, yeah, like this is great. And it really hurt my wrist and I was like, you know what, let's get a drink instead. So I tried. But like naturally it goes back to like, if I wasn't good at it like instantly. And I'm one of those people where like if I'm not a little bit good at something right away, I generally don't want anything to do with it. And that's not really the best mindset, but I've just always been that way. I'm just all or nothing. Like I either want to do it 150% or not at all.
Okay. Now, this is on your Twitter bio. Can you tell us about being fluent in the language of sarcasm?
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy you asked. Yeah. So I don't, well, I suppose I know how. My grandfather is super sarcastic. And that's just kind of been me. I'm just super sarcastic, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes people will just say the most asinine things to me, and it just boggles my mind because I'm just like, how are you a human being saying this to me? So the approach that I take with stuff like that is just like, I'm just going to hit them with a bunch of sarcasm. And a lot of the times it just leaves people confused and they're like, wait, what'd you just say to me? And it's like, wait, did you see what you said to me? It's just I'm just super witty. Yeah.
I imagine that helps with dealing with the world of Twitter, um, and a lot of the people that are on there as well, no?
Oh yeah, no, Twitter's brutal. It's quite interesting because you have like some people that are really great and really nice, and then again, you just get some people that just, like I said, just say ridiculous stuff. So I just literally will phrase my response exactly how they phrased what they said to me. And then some people will realize they're like, oh, she's coming at me the way I came at her. Or some people just have no idea and
Yep.
they are just so lost in space.
Alright. I think it's time for the colossal question. They're making a movie about Nikki Duke. Not the one coming up on February 4th. It's after that. Um,
Ooh, are they? How come I wasn't informed?
well, they're still getting everything together. They're building the cast, the crew, getting big
Okay.
names attached to it. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first three songs on the Nikki Duke movie soundtrack up to this point?
Oh goodness. I don't know if I would know the soundtrack, but my life, like constantly in my head, like I'll like just have like the strangest things happen to me. And the theme song to Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, just like plays all day long in my head. And I'll like look around and I'm like, is anyone else hearing this? So I feel like that definitely would be the soundtrack, so to speak. But songs, I'm not really quite sure.
Alright, so Larry David, so the Curb Your Enthusiasm soundtrack.
Yeah, for sure. Like I literally like I said, I'll pause and I just like look around and I'm like, there's no way that just happened or this person said that, and then I just like walk away and that just plays in my head. I'm like, is this playing out loud? Am I in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm? I might be. I think that's pretty much what my life is at this point. And I actually had an ex-boyfriend tell me once, he was like, Nick, you are Larry David. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. So it like ties in. I don't know if you ever seen the show, but like that's my sense of humor and my sarcasm. I am Larry David.
I've seen a few episodes, but I'm more of a big fan of Seinfeld.
See, and I don't like Seinfeld, and I know it's the same creators and everything. It's just not for me.
I mean, Larry David is basically George Costanza. It's the same
Yes.
character.
Yeah, it really is, but I don't know why. I don't know why it just doesn't do it for me.
I do need to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm sooner rather than later.
I think you should. It's one of my favorite series, but I will not lie. The first like handful of episodes or seasons, so to speak, they're good, but it gets way better. So if you find yourself not liking it, stick it out.
Alright, I'll take that. And I kind of know that from Seinfeld because like the first two, three seasons are they're okay, but things really
Right.
get started in like season 4, season 5.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Alright, now that we have the soundtrack done, we're writing the script, and now it's time for casting. Who plays Nikki Duke? And you can't say yourself because you're legally obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Well, that's rude because Nikki Duke should always play Nikki Duke. Well, in that case, then I would have to get back to you. I would have to do like a lot of interviews because this isn't just something that like you would go ahead and let someone just do. Um, so I don't really know. I haven't thought about that. I don't know who better to play Nikki Duke than Nikki Duke. But I suppose I can't do that. So I will have to really, really think and possibly get back to you.
Okay, that's fair enough. And every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh, this pains me and absolutely pains me to say this. Rebecca Scott has to be in the movie. It's just, I don't want her to, but the way the cards are written, she has been, in my journey, in my professional wrestling journey. Like I said, she was my first match on the independents. I've had this huge feud with her at CCW, so she definitely has to be in it. I don't know anyone annoying enough to play her. So I definitely would have to, again, do my research. And actors, I don't really know their names off the top of my head. I don't watch TV or movies. I know I just said Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I don't watch TV. Maybe Larry David could play me. He's we would definitely need like a wig and a whole lot of work, a whole lot. But her and definitely a Megan Bain in there too. But again, I don't know actors enough to say, hey, this person should play this person. I don't really know.
That's fair enough. We could leave it up to casting.
Yeah, I suppose I'll hire someone to figure that out.
But you got 2 people in your supporting cast. Who would be the third one?
Oh, myself is not included. I see. I don't really know. Maybe it would just be like a different person every time, like just some like random person in passing.
Okay, fair enough. And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Beautiful.
Now on to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Ugh. The funny thing is I want to hate on it so bad, but I also don't think I've ever had it. But that doesn't matter. I feel like it's disgusting. And I feel like it shouldn't be a thing. But like truthfully, I don't think I've ever had it just because like I'm kind of like a plain Jane when it comes to food. Like maybe if you're feeling wild, throw some pepperoni on there. But other than that, just good old plain pizza does the trick, Don't mess with something if it's not broken.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your spirit Pokemon?
My spirit Pokemon. I feel like I'm kind of like a Pokemon because they like evolve and like change shapes and forms, and like I feel like I'm in like not my final form at all, but I really like Pikachu. Like just everyone knows who Pikachu is, even if you don't know shit about Pokemon. You know who Pikachu is.
And I mean, it's the evolved form of Pichu and the unevolved version of Raichu. So you're kind of in the middle as well.
Yeah, I think I'm one of those Jews.
Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
I don't want to get canceled, so I'm not going to take any guesses, but I don't. I don't. I'm not going to attempt that. No, thank you.
Fair enough. But T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail, 'cause a Doug can't spell.
Cute.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual rock.
Um, well, I don't know. Well, clearly you have been following my stuff at CCW, and I wrestled Rebecca, so I suppose, I guess I already do. And I would hate to, like, you are my first podcast, and I have a few lined up, but I hate to say that that's going to be the weirdest question because you'd be pretty surprised. So I hope that's the weirdest question, but
Let's hope.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately, we've had guests on that say, I love that you say that's the weirdest question, but I've been asked a lot weirder questions.
Oh yeah. I've been asked about 5 weirder questions just today alone. So yeah, I appreciate that question then.
What was the weirdest thing you've been asked today?
Oh. I don't know what I can say on this podcast,
Anything
but
you want. Nothing is censored.
the long and short of it, this gentleman had emailed me asking to buy used underwear from me. So I suppose that was definitely the weirdest one today.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Yep. So the rock question was completely normal and didn't even bat an eyelash.
We've had somebody that wanted to buy you socks on before, so
Yeah. I've actually sold used socks, and the funny thing about it is, I wear my father's socks when I wrestle because they are really high, and I don't have socks that high, so I take them from him. I wear them to wrestle, and then some guy wanted to buy them at a show, I think, and I was like, yeah, and then I got my money, and I was like, those are my father's, so joke's on him. But yeah. I mean, yeah.
I love the swerve.
Yeah, I mean, like you're gonna want to buy them, and I mean, the kicker. There's always evil to the good. I guess I don't know what the good in buying my socks is, but
Yeah. Just context for the rock question. There's this wrestler named Psycho Mike that wrestled an actual rock for over 15 minutes. In a tungsten man match, an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
interesting. Okay, I don't know who won.
They tied.
Oh, it's beautiful wrestling. Love to see it. I wonder
Continue.
whose cardio was better.
Oh, well, I mean, The Rock was the world champion, so because they tied, he retained the title. So technically, The Rock did win.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh man, this question's always funny because it's like, I don't know, man. I just wake up and feel the vibe of the day and go from there. But I definitely, would love to be with a major company. I have some things lined up now. I don't believe I'm allowed to talk about anything yet, but yeah, for sure. 5 years from now, definitely would love to, still be wrestling. Wrestling at a very high standard, so to speak. At a high platform. But then also maybe dabbling in some movies or stunts, and going from there.
Interesting. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what Nikii Duke is all about?
So the best match that's gonna show what I'm all about has yet to happen yet. and it's on February 4th. I just really, really have put a lot into this. You know, it's not just a match. It's not just a wrestling match. It's definitely going to showcase what I can do and who I am, you know? So I'm really, really excited about that. But I believe that one, but also I was really, really proud of my work at the last CCW show against Rebecca Scott. Like I said, I'm still really new to wrestling. I've only been taking matches since April, so she was maybe that was maybe my fifth or sixth singles match, maybe less. I'm not really positive off the top of my head. I have it written down somewhere, but yeah.
All right, and I will. I believe that match is on YouTube. So
Yes,
I
it is.
will grab it and I will put it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. For anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to re-see it after this interview.
Yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
No.
Well, we're gonna do it anyway.
I know. I was gonna say no, but that's showbiz, baby. Let's go.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Worst wrestler.
What'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Worst wrestler.
Oh my God. Myself.
No, you can't say yourself.
I don't know. Skip. Phone a friend.
We will give you the default.
Rebecca Scott. Rebecca Scott.
There you go. There you go. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Oh my God, I would love to say someone that is, currently signed or, really looking up, that's up there, but definitely Megan Bain.
Okay.
That would be a dream match.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Oh goodness. I don't know. I don't know. I hate being put on the spot and I'm like panicking over here. Skip. I don't know.
All right. Finish the sentence.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Maybe to go back. Maybe it would be Undertaker because like he does really cool shit and he gets to like walk really slow, so he's like not blown up when he gets to the ring. So it would be that.
So the classic Undertaker theme.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is
Dead. That was brutal, but yeah, sorry.
what?
Oh, you didn't catch what I said?
No, it cut out.
Oh, maybe that's for the better. Maybe I should change the answer, but I said very dramatically, dead. I because I feel like it kind of is. Like it just is what it is. But that's what I said.
Fair enough. We also would have accepted taste great on toast. Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
It's definitely not a fruit. But I feel like I had this conversation with someone the other day, and it's like a man-made thing. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I was like half listening. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I could be lying and thinking of something else. We don't know. I was half listening to this story, and then I like run with information I heard, and I just pass it along and just spread a bunch of lies, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Well, I will say that it definitely is a fruit.
A squash? I don't know.
It's a tomato.
But like, okay.
Yeah, it has seeds. seeds. But that whole man-made thing, it's yeah, will make you think.
I don't know. Someone was telling me this the other day, and like I said, I was half listening to them, so I could be talking about something else for all I know.
All right. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself before. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I think that's personal preference, you know, like right now I wrestle in pants and it's just because no gear maker would answer me. And I actually have a pair of gear that I just got that I'm going to debut, and my cheeks are out a little bit, but I don't know. And it's just personal preference, you know, like I wouldn't say do a thong, but by all means have those booty cheeks out.
All right. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
I can't say I have. Have you?
I have not either.
Oh, and okay. Yep. No, can't say I have, but I also don't really go to the supermarket anymore. Um, but yeah, no, that generally didn't come up, but no.
Yes, I've gone up to random strangers and asked them if they knew who Darby Allin was. It's on our YouTube as we speak, that video. Yeah, nobody knew who he was. But that was a really long time ago.
Interesting. I really love his work. I think he's phenomenal in the ring. I know who he is. I just don't talk about him at the supermarket when if I'm there, you know. First thing, I am super introverted, so I generally don't talk to anyone about anything at the supermarket. But yeah.
And that is the correct answer. That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Nikki, for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
And once again, where can we find all things Nikki Duke?
I'm, all social media, including Venmo, Cash App. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have Cash App, but it's just on all social media. It's just Nikki Duke, NIKIIDUKE.
And of course, catch Nikki February 4th as she wrestles Rebecca Scott for the Global Fighting Championship as well. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like. And of course, all of Nikki Duke's links to all of her social medias will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link, and a new tab will appear on whatever device you're on. You have no excuse. Give her a damn follow.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And when she gets merchandise, buy a damn short. Of course, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this was sponsored by Woke Energy and Player One Coffee. And this was associated with Capital Championship Wrestling. Catch Victory February 4th on the Title Match Network. And if you're in the area for the event, buy a ticket. Of course, join us next Tuesday and Wednesday as we interview Cody Lane and Claudia Solis. And follow the show at Wrestling with Eva on Twitter and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and a hell of a lot more. You can follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, Nikki, when I say wrestling wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Got it.
For always special guest Nikki Duke, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I am James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit.
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.